Mr. Herring, let me just follow up where the chairman was. So did the FBI make the redactions dealing with personal identifiable information?
We did, yes.
You did. That's what I figured. Okay, Mr. Herring, you've said we don't have all the 302s, we don't have the whole file, and what you did give us, as you just pointed out, had lots of redactions.
Yes, sir.
And the chairman invited you to a briefing last week in a classified setting, which you said in your opening remarks where you'd like to discuss this information. So who told you not to come to the briefing? Because the chairman was there, I was there. In fact, every single Republican member was sitting there waiting anxiously for you to come do what you just said in your opening statement you wanted to do. So why didn't you show up?
So let me say a couple things here, if I could, just to sort of be clear. As far as the 302s and what we've provided and what we haven't provided, or a lot of 302s, or dozens of them, and we prioritized up front what we thought were the most important ones. And so those are the ones we gave.
But you got them all, don't you?
A couple of weeks. We do have, and we're working on the other
So you can get the paper, you can give it to us, or frankly, you could have told us what you just told us right there. You could have told us that last Wednesday, but you didn't come. So why didn't you come?
So I actually want to address it in the classified setting if I could. There was certainly
Someone tell you not to come, Mr. Herring?
There were some conversations between me and some of the committee staff about what the briefing was going to be about.
No, I'm asking, did someone tell you not to come? You were invited, we were all waiting. We don't have all the 302s, we don't have the whole file. You've told us you made all the redactions. We were going to ask you about that. We were going to do it in a classified setting, which is what you preferred, what you want, what you've told us today you want, and someone told you not to come. Who told you not to come?
It was my decision, but I'd like to explain it away in the classified
Wait.
setting.
You decided on your own? You didn't consult with anyone else?
Certainly consulted with the director's office.
And the director said, it's up to you, Mr. Herring. I'm not going to decide. You're going to decide? Really?
So a lot of it has to do with what the discussion was going to be in the classified briefing. And I think there was some confusion, at least on my part, about what the expectations were in some of my conversations with committee staff last week.
Do you have any other discussion? Just you and Director Comey talked about this? You talked to anyone else?
Certainly, we have our general counsel's office, the Department of Justice. There are a number of people.
Mr. Herring, was this case different? You said you've been around the FBI 17 years. You're now the acting director for legislative affairs. Was this case different?
I think this case is different in a lot of ways.
A lot of ways.
I do.
Can you tell us? Can you give me some? Why? I know it's different in a lot of ways. How about this difference? You ever had a case in your 17 years where the subject of your investigation's husband meets with the Attorney General just a couple days before you're going to interview that individual in your investigation? You ever had that happen in your 17 years?
No, sir.
That's certainly different, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you ever have a case in your 17 years, and we appreciate your service, you ever have a case where the Attorney General announces publicly that she's going to follow the recommendations of the FBI, even though she has no idea what those recommendations are going to be, based on, you ever have that happen in your 17 years?
Not in one of the cases I was assigned.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's ever happened because the Attorney General told me she's never done that until this time. Certainly. You ever in your 17 years, you ever have a director of the FBI, you ever have them do a big press conference, walk through all the wrongdoings of the person under investigation? You ever have that happen, a big press conference before, and then make this big announcement? Or normally the FBI just kind of announces whether they're going to prosecute or not, right? You ever seen that before?
I mean, we certainly have press conferences, not quite like that one.
Not quite like that one. That's exactly right. And then have you ever had this? Now, maybe this happens, but Mr. Cummings said in his opening statement, Republicans didn't like the answers Mr. Comey gave. Well, that may be true, but based on what Mr. Comey did last week, where he sent a memo to you and all your colleagues, looks to me like a lot of former FBI agents, and maybe some even current ones, didn't like some of the answers they got from this investigation. You ever seen that before? Mr. Comey says in this letter, I explained to our alums, I'm okay if folks have a different view of this investigation. So there's obviously some folks who used to work in the Justice Department didn't like the outcome either. Now, they may be Republicans like Mr. Cummings says. They may not be. So I've never seen that before either. Have you, Mr. Herring?
Frequently, we get messages from the director on a variety of things.
Yeah.
I think in
2 months after he makes the announcements, he thinks it's important to send a memo out to 2 months later to all his employees and saying, hey, I better fill you in on some things here, why we did what we did. You ever have that happen 2 months after the fact?
I think oftentimes he wants the employees to understand what's going on and full level of transparency, both outside the Bureau and inside the Bureau. We're a
So
big
2 months
agency.
later, you got a memo.
36,000 or so employees.
This case was different, but here's the problem, Mr. Herring. It's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be different. Everyone is supposed to be treated equally under the law. And I know deep down you know that. You're 17 years serving in our government. You know that, don't you? It's all, everyone's supposed to be treated the same. And in this case, this individual was treated different. And everyone in this country knows it. And that's why we're having this hearing. And that's why we'd have liked you there last week to give us the information a little sooner than later tonight when we go into a classified setting.
So can I answer that? I mean, I think it's important for us as an agency to be apolitical, to follow the facts in any case where it takes us. And I do believe that we follow the facts in this particular case. And Director Comey certainly made a very difficult decision. But ultimately it is the Department of Justice who makes the determination of prosecution.
No, hold on.
But real quick,
Please,
not in this situation, because
Hold on.
she said she was going to take his recommendation.
The gentleman's time has expired.
It's a false statement.
We're now going to